And if this implies something, it implies how much investing Epic is doing and how much they pushing the Python API scripting. Hello everyone and welcome back. Mohammed here, and in this video of Unreal Python series, we will prepare our working environment for Unreal Engine Python scripting. The first thing you need to be sure about is to install the Python itself to your own development environment, aka your BC. You can go to python.org. You can go to python.org here and grab the latest version or so. By the time I started the series, the latest version was 2.7 or something, and now it is already 2.8 or something. I usually never had an issue for Unreal to throw errors at my face requiring a specific and exact version in order to run scripts or anything. So grab the latest and it shall be fine. But as a matter of fact, the Python editor scripting plugin itself, it contains an embedded version of Python 2.7, which means in order to run the plugin or the scripts we make for the editor, we don't really need to install Python, but we need it only for our, let's say, writing environment. By writing environment, I mean the IDE is where you're going to be writing the Python scripts. And as a side note, this 2.7 version will be changed to 3 point something at some point, and this was stated by Epic somewhere. The second important thing is IDE itself, and this is where you will be writing the Python scripts. And for the IDE, you can really use whatever you want, starting from Microsoft Visual Studio up to something like Notepad++ or Sublime. There is not that huge benefit of using one on another unless you care about productivity and or auto compilation. Personally, I did make my choice to PyCharm for multiple reasons. First, I can have my own environment per project. This is mostly related to other things that is not very Unreal related, but I do use PyCharm for all my Python topics, regardless it is Unreal or not. So having PyCharm is useful for me in many aspects that is not related to this course, but this is why I have it mainly. Using it means I can have multiple versions of Python and multiple versions of environments, which it is useful at my work in general. But yeah, it's not really Unreal specific. The second thing I use PyCharm for, it is very straightforward to install the Unreal stub file or STUP file of Unreal Engine. And if you are asking what is this file, stub or STUP file, I am glad that you asked. This file is basically a file that contains the definitions for Unreal Python API, which means it can be helpful for something like auto compilation in a way. And installing this type of file with PyCharm is very easy process and very straightforward. And that's my reason for choosing PyCharm. So let's skip this part. Now just go ahead and grab your IDE just to prepare your environment and install it. If you made your mind to something else, not PyCharm, it is totally fine. You can skip this process of doing the stub file unless you know how to do it with your IDE. For example, if you're going to use Visual Studio for this course and you know how to install the STUP file, then just go ahead and do it. Now I'll be making a new project. You can keep that project to be the one hosting all our Python scripts along this series, something like a testing project. It's just up to you. So I have my project here, but I'm making this project right now specifically for one specific reason: to generate the Unreal STUP files that we need to install or to prepare our environment. The only way to get that file is through an Unreal project that have a support for Python scripting. So I made here a new totally empty project that have nothing. You can see the content is empty. And once you have your editor launched, we can go to the plugins of the project from edit plugins, which is already open here. And then we go to the scripting section. which is here, and then we need to enable the Python editor script plugin. Yes. And then we need to enable the editor scripting utilities, which is needed later on. And if you will be doing some Python tools related to sequencer after this series, or just want to do some experimentation with sequencer scripting, you can enable this one as well. It won't be very harmful. But all in all, enable any of those will require the editor to restart, as you can see here. So let's restart the editor. So once the editor launch again, you will notice no difference at all. And just don't worry, it's fine. All Python stuff functioning already, and you will see like the Python related editor elements one by one as we go in the series. Now we have the Python scripting plugin enabled, but we still have no definition file. Enabling the Python plugin is necessary to do Python scripting for Unreal, but having the STUP file for the definitions is not necessary to make Unreal Python scripts. And that's why we don't have it by default when we enable the Python scripting plugin. As Unreal considering you either have this file from before, or you know the Python API enough to not need it every time you enable the plugin. But if you are new to the API, which is the case right now, then having the STUP file or the definitions file in place is a great idea to learn the editor Python API as quick as possible. So enabling the Python scripting plugin did add a new section to our project settings, which have several options that we will need along the series. For now, we need to go to the project settings, plugins, Python, and we need to enable the developer mode. And this, as you can see, would require a restart. But before we do the restart, I want to show you something very quick. So this is my project. This is my project here, and this is the intermediate folder. And you can see we have here asset registry cache, configuration, and re-import cache, and this bin file. So this is what we have here. This is only what we have here. As soon as the editor restarted, Unreal will detect that we enabled this option, and then it will generate the files that we need. It takes few seconds as it depends on the definitions file size. So yeah, before I do restart, I will just make Unreal smaller here so we can see the thing taking in action, and then we say restart, and we keep looking here. Unreal is loading in the background, and at some point a new folder, a new file will show up in here. So Unreal already loaded, and we have a new folder show up called Python stub, and here we have unreal.py, and this is the definition file which contains all the definitions for Unreal. The values in this file can be different per Unreal version, which means if you move to a newer version of the editor, you better have to count on a different version of the file that is generated from a project based on this new version that you are using, new version of the editor. Again, this file mostly for decoration while working, not for the actual result, or in another meaning, it is for autocomplete and syntax highlight fanboys. Okay. It also means that if you modified the engine to expose new stuff to Python, you might need to regenerate that file again if you would like to have those new definitions for autocomplete and syntax highlight and such IDE features. Now, what we do with this file, in case if we are going to use PyCharm, we need to copy this file, and then we need to go to C, users, my user, and PyCharm, the version you are using. Let's say I'm using this right now, 2018.3, and then to system, and in Python stubs I'm going to paste the file here, and you see I have already pasted mine in here. This way PyCharm will enable to read from it every time we import the Unreal API in a Python file or in a Python script. And while we are in the stub file, I find it nice opportunity to show you the difference between an Unreal Engine file that is generated from Unreal 4.24 and another one generated from an earlier version, probably Unreal 4.20 or Unreal 4.21. So if I look to this one, it's generated from Unreal 4.24. This is 11 megabytes. And if I look to this one, that is generated from an older version of Unreal, this is much smaller. And actually, if you open this file, you'll see the definitions in the file is not that much. You see here, it's like already 1089 lines, which contains a few amount of definitions. But if we open the other one that was generated with Unreal 4.24, you'll notice how huge this file is. You can go all the way down. Even my computer cannot handle going down in this text file, so you can really tell how huge is this file. So yeah, this is between an old Unreal version at the start of this plugin and the start of my journey with Unreal Python, and this is by now how it looks like. And if this implies something, it implies how much investing Epic is doing and how much they pushing the Python API scripting. And that's all what we need in order to prepare our environment for editor Python scripting with Unreal Engine. In the next video, we'll be discussing the Unreal Python API itself, how to read it, and how to get the best out of it. So catch you later. Bye.